For the final time in 2022, we're live here near the windy city of Chicago for a road game in the Frontier League, Evansville. Final game against Joliet this week. And we've also completed the week-long sweep of all 6 games having a starting temperature here in the 70s. It has been a beautiful week of baseball. As for the product on the field, though, Evansville certainly not happy with how things have gone. Won the first game of the road trip 7-1 at Windy City, have since lost their last 4 and are looking for answers just about anywhere. You're going to see that the lineup is very jumbled up. Everyone kind of playing in a new spot in the 9 just to kind of shake up the starting 9. Everyone will still play in their standard defensive positions, but where they're batting is just a little bit different. Brett Adcock will get the nod on the mound for Evansville today. He has been consistent the games he's played so far in these last few weeks at least. To say nonetheless. Evansville is finding some struggles, getting the men on base, and more importantly, bringing them home, as it seems like it's been probably 3 or 4 weeks since we saw a good, consistent offensive effort that included multiple runs and innings. In fact, in this 6-game road trip, the Otters only have 1 inning where they've scored multiple runs. That was the first inning of the first game of the road trip all the way back on Tuesday night. Since then, all the runs have been in singles except for last night's last-second home run from Steven Sinsley that didn't end up making a difference in the game, as Evansville was already down by 6 as we approach it. But there is positives to look at. Evansville did kind of, didn't let the 6-run deficit kill them. They give themselves an opportunity to still come back in the game, though they were unable to. And it still seems that there is some fight in this team, and that's important as we are nearing this home stretch. Evansville's down in the 3rd spot in the Frontier League, 10.5 games out of the lead, only a half game out of 2nd place. A win today and a Schaumburg loss, and Evansville's right back in 2nd place, right back in the conversation where things feel a lot more comfortable. As for this Joliet team, they've got a lot riding on this game as well, as they currently sit 3 games back of Evansville. A win from the Slammers today would not only give them the series sweep, but it would also bring them just 2 games back of a playoff spot. We could see things dramatically change by the end of this next week. Evansville's got a rough stretch too, 3 at home against Windy City. Then they've got to hit the road, overnight bus trip, and 3 games at Washington. Will be a tough series that weekend for Evansville, but before they can get to any of that, they've got to finish the road trip strong here in Joliet. They're meeting at the mound right now with the umpires, both coaches sharing rosters and sharing conversation as well. And at this time, we do want to walk you through the starting lineup for your Evansville Otters. Leading off in the Edward Jones leadoff hitter spot is the center fielder, Miles Gordon. Batting second will be the left fielder, Jeffrey Baez. Batting third, the designated hitter, Steven Sinsley. Batting fourth, the right fielder, Elijah McNamee. Batting fifth is the first baseman, Zach Bierman. Batting sixth, the third baseman, J.R. Davis. Batting seventh, the shortstop, George Khalil. Batting eighth and catching for the 3rd straight night, Brody Tanksley. And batting ninth is the second baseman, Andy Armstrong. And once again, Brett Adcock is the man on the mound for Evansville. The starting 9 for the Slammers today, Tyler DePrita Johnson returns to the top of the order. He'll bat leadoff and will play shortstop. Batting second is the hard-hitting third baseman, Briley Ware, before the 3-hole hitter, designated hitter, Matt Birch. Batting fourth is the center fielder, Matt Feinstein. He has home runs in each of the first 2 games of this series. Batting fifth, the second baseman, Matt Mcgarry. Batting sixth, the right fielder, Carson Maxwell. Batting seventh is the left fielder, Lane Baremore. Batting eighth is the first baseman, Philip Steering. And batting ninth is the catcher, J.P. Fullerton. The man on the mound for Joliet today will be Spencer Johnson. He's a righty, and we'll talk more about him once we get into this afternoon's game. Final players are making their way into the dugouts now, and we are about to get set with our national anthem. And right after that, we've got first pitch Pleased you're joining me on a beautiful Sunday for baseball here from Joliet. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is next. It is a beautiful day for baseball in Joliet. We are just moments away from first pitch. Without further ado, Want to introduce you to the man on the mound for the Slammers today will be Spencer Johnson. The righty enters the game with a commendable effort this year. He's a tall righty that's going to sling the ball hard towards home. He's going to make some of these Otter hitters have to stay on their toes as the ball will get home quickly and have to be a little bit careful with how you approach the mound, especially with Evansville having a lot of strikeouts this week thus far. Johnson looks to at least start the day hot and try to get through 5 or 6 innings and help Joliet into their bullpen, as we did have to see Joliet use an extra arm last night due to the fact that their starter in the game, Steve Moyers, not really a starter, so he only went 4 innings in the ballgame last night. As for Evansville, they will kick it off with the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon. Jeffrey Baez and Steven Sinsley are the ones that will finish off this opening 3. Johnston is a 6'3", 230-pound righty out of Arlington, Texas. Is straight out of the University of Arkansas at Monticello. So Miles Gordon strides in, had his 21-game hit streak ended last night. 20-game hit streak ended. He extended his on-base streak to 21 games last night. So we're ready for the opening pitch of this one. It is right across the heart of the plate for a called strike at 1:07 p.m., and we are playing baseball in Joliet. Jeffrey Baez stands on deck. Sinsley in the hole. An interesting top 3 to start for Evansville today. 0-1 works towards the outside edge. It's a called strike, and quickly Gordon finds himself back 0-2 in the count. Johnston on the season, officially 2-2 with a 2.20 ERA. 0-2 is skied high and foul. We'll get out of play off towards the first base side.
That foul ball brought to you by Brown & Brown Insurance. Call Larry Jumbles, Brent Wagner, and John Mann for all your insurance needs.
So good work there from Gordon just to keep himself alive. A little bit breezy today as the wind blows pretty good in from center field. As per usual, Andy McCauley, the field manager for the Otters, will man the third base coaching box. Billy Easley on the right side. Let's try it again on the 0-2 to Miles Gordon. Swinging strike 3. He was ahead of that changeup. And it's a first batter strikeout for Spencer Johnston. So with that, the left fielder Jeffrey Baez on his way to the plate now. In last night's game, Jeffrey Baez was, for a while, the only hit for the Otters. In fact, as we approached the 9th inning, Baez was the only one with a hit in the entire game. Then the Otters were able to grab 2 hits in the 9th. But Baez had that double in the 4th as well as a walk as a part of the 9th. He came home to score on Steven Sinsley's home run. First pitch home to him is right across the heart of the plate for a called strike 1. Certainly not as good a crowd as we've seen the last 2 nights, but I'm sure the Sunday matinee timing of this game affects that just a tad. A healthy off-speed pitch towards the low outside corner. Stays a bit too far outside. Baez is going to see his count even up at 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1 home is put very shyly on the first base side, just kind of grounds off towards the Joliet dugout, and he falls back in the count 1-2. Don't forget that the Otters head home right after this. First game on Tuesday night against Windy City starts at 6:35. They're from historic Bosse Field. You can get your tickets online at evansvilleotters.com, or you can stop by the box office anytime starting tomorrow. Ball sent out towards right field. Running in is Maxwell, and he'll be there in time for the second out of the inning. Came off the bat well from Baez, but the wind, I'm sure, helped really make that ball die. We walk you around the umpire alignment for tonight. It'll be Kurt Brannon on the right side of the infield with Kevin Worth on the left side. Elijah Bester mans things behind the plate. Two outs, nobody on. Steven Sinsley at the plate. First pitch to him. Zoom to the right side, right at Mcgarry at second. He'll throw to first in time for out number 3, and the Otters go 3 up, 3 down in the top half of the first. We've played a half inning, still scoreless from Joliet. Bottom of the first inning here on the Otters Digital Network. Beautiful Sunday afternoon for baseball here from Joliet. And before we go any further, we want to remind you that Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. Brett Adcock, the sole lefty in the Otters pitching staff, on the mound this afternoon. Adcock this year has a couple little, I guess you could say, milestones he's coming up on. First pitch, Holmes outside for ball 1. For Adcock, this is the 86th start of his career, 109th appearance, and he is making his way towards 500 career strikeouts. The ball is set very high in the infield. Chasing in is Armstrong. He'll get inside for out number 1. So a big pop out to Tyler DePrita-Johnson. Kick starts this half inning. As for Adcock this year, he's 5-4 officially. He's allowed 21 earned runs in 67 innings, 21 earned runs, 31 unearned runs, 31 total runs. And he's managed 64 strikeouts. It's the first time he and Brody Tanksley have ever worked together as a pitcher-catcher battery as well, as every other appearance for Adcock other than one to Ronnie Allen Jr. while the team was on the road in Canada, every other one has been with Justin Felix. First pitch home to Briley Ware. Hit hard towards the right side. It's high and foul. It's going to get out of play and end up over towards the berm over there. So an 0-1 count to the hard-hitting third baseman Briley Ware. Bases are empty. There's one out here in the bottom half of the first inning. Adcock kicks and delivers on the 0-1. It's low and inside, and our count's evened up at a ball and a strike. Went with the changeup there. Stayed in. If Adcock can get his curveball working, he becomes a very dangerous threat up on the mound. So keep an eye out for that as well. 1-1 is sent sharply out towards right center field. Long run for both McNamee and Gordon. It's going to fall in for extra bases. Gordon picks it up. The throw into second's not in time. It is a double for Briley Ware, and he continues what has been an unreal weekend for him. The Otters managed to get him out one time in the 7th last night. He got out in the 2nd as well last night, but he had an RBI attached to it. Other than that one out in the 7th, every single at-bat for him, he's gotten on base or done something productive with his at-bat. So with one out and a runner on second, Matt Birch makes his way to the plate. He's the DH this evening. Birch played in Friday night's contest as well, but did not play in last night's game. A little bit of a wait as Adcock gets himself set. And the first pitch home is a called strike on the outside edge. Adcock, of course, started the year with Sioux City within the American Association, was traded over to Evansville almost 2 or 3 weeks into the season, and ever since has been very good for this Otters team. Adcock was a University of Michigan prospect, drafted in the 4th round of 2016 by the Houston Astros. Spent a long time within the Astros organization, playing anywhere from low A all the way to double A, from 16 to 19 before falling to the Independents. Foul ball sent off towards the train tracks on the third base side. Take the count to 0-2 for Matt Birch. So we take a break as we get set for an 0-2 pitch to Matt Birch. This is a really important out for Adcock to get. The 0-2 works towards the outside edge, and Birch just barely lays off it. That's a very good pitch. One ball, 2 strikes for Birch. Adcock glances out towards second and throws home on the 1-2. It's again outside, and Birch won't go after it. Count evens up 2-2. So with one out and a runner on second, Matt Birch at the plate looking at a 2-2 pitch. Adcock has himself ready, and he deals home. It's put down the third base side, well foul and high. And that will keep the count at 2-2. So everybody takes a second to reset. Adcock looking in towards Tanksley. Finally nods that way, and we'll send home a 2-2. It's sent on the ground towards Armstrong. He'll play it into the glove. The throw to first is in time, and it successfully moves Briley Ware over to third. But it's officially a 4-3 fielder's choice for out number 2, and now the center fielder, Matt Feinstein, makes his way to the plate. He has been a thorn in the side for Evansville in these first 2 games. Has 2 home runs, 1 in each game already. His one last night kicked off what was a productive first inning and eventual win for Joliet. 2 outs, runner at third is Briley Ware, and Matt Feinstein looks at his first pitch for a called strike 1. Work towards the knees on the off-speed one. No balls, 1 strike. And time is called by Feinstein. He'll reset. An 0-1. That bounces in, evens our count up at a ball and a strike. Adcock 5-4 on the season, 2.79 ERA, ranks among the best in the league. 1-1 low and outside, and he'll pop back behind in the count, 2-1. Now, officially in the league leaders categories, you won't find Brett Adcock, and that is basically just because he has not reached the amount of innings pitched to be qualified. You have to have 1 inning pitch for every game your team has played, and he's not quite there yet. As right now he is still sitting at just under 70 pitches, or sorry, just under 70 innings. And the Otters have obviously up their games played now to 76. A 2-2 home. And it's foul tipped into the glove of Tanksley for a German-American Bank strikeout. A 1-out double from Briley Ware. Won't come back to do anything to Evansville. We've played 1. Still scoreless from Joliet. And we're ready for the second inning here from Dooley Health and Care Field in Joliet, Illinois. Elijah McNamee will kick things off. He's the Edward Jones is leadoff. He's the cleanup man today. Elijah McNamee batting 4th. And on the season for McNamee, he's appeared all throughout the lineup. This is just his sixth time batting 4th. Usually he's either 1st or 5th. And he'll take a called strike 1 to kick things off. Defense is pretty much straight up all the way around. There's a bit of a pull to the left side, so straight up the middle is a little bit more open for McNamee. Takes ball 1 on the high outside corner. And because of that, he now has an even count of 1-1. A 1-1. McNamee hits it hard towards Ware at third. A wonderful grab to throw to first. Accurate and in time. A great scoop from the first baseman steering, and it is a wonderful out number 1 here in the second inning. And McNamee smiling over at Riley Ware as he makes his way back to the dugout. That's one that, as a hitter, you just have to appreciate it. I mean, you just about hit the cover off that ball on the ground, but it's right at one of the best defensive players on that third base corner in the league, and not much you can do about it. So now brings up Zach Bierman. He'll sky one out towards right center field. The center fielder Feinstein thinks he's underneath it and finally brings it in for out number 2. Bierman got good contact, but again, I think the wind is going to do that a lot tonight. Even if you're driving things really hard out towards center field, that hard wind coming straight in from center is going to knock a lot of those balls down. So 2 outs, nobody on, and J.R. Davis is the next Otter, striding towards the dish. Up on the mound, Spencer Johnston with a big look in towards home. The first pitch home's a called strike one on the inside edge. Kind of looked like J.R. Davis was taken from the get-go. Curveball just barely misses the inside top corner, and our count extends to 1-1. Readying himself is Johnston. The throw home to Davis stays too far high and inside, and Davis will take a 2-1 lead in our count. Couple of games already started so far here in the Frontier League. They're already in the top of the sixth at Ottawa. Quebec and Ottawa are tied at 1 run apiece right now. Ottawa got a big win last night. Davis puts one down the right field line. Long run for Maxwell in the corner, and it's going to end up foul. Probably 8 or 10 feet to the foul side of the right field line. So Davis will make his way all the way back towards home. You know, even if that had stayed fair, Maxwell got a good enough jump. If it was at the fair foul line, it probably would have been caught for a third out. They're in the bottom of the first at New Jersey. Battle of the Garden State there. Sussex County trails 1-0. Of course, in last night's game, Sussex County put up 13 first-inning runs. Ended up winning that game big. Davis skies one now in the infield. Chasing in is steering the first baseman, and he will bring it in for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down for a second inning now, and we head to the bottom half of the second. Otters and Slammers are still scoreless. Home half of the second inning here, and we're still scoreless from Joliet. Matt Mcgarry is going to be the one to kick things off here in the second. Mcgarry playing second today, one of the most impressive second basemen I've got to watch on the road thus far. Mcgarry last night managed to get on base just once. It was on a hit by pitch that loaded the bases. Riley Ware would then bring a runner in on a sac fly. First pitch home to Mcgarry is outside for ball 1. The 1-0 pitch is skied out towards right field. It is in foul territory. McNamee's making a run towards it at the wall, and he brings it in for out number 1. Long run for McNamee, but he gets there just in time. He had Bierman right there to let him know how much room he had towards the wall, and with about half a foot, maybe 2 feet to spare, he brings it in for out number 1. So that will bring up Carson Maxwell, who has been the DH for a couple of nights and is now playing right field. The first pitch to him is on the inside edge for a called strike one. Adcock really taking his time to get reset for the next pitch. And finally it comes home for a called strike two, and right away Maxwell not happy with it. He turns and gives his couple thoughts to Elijah Bester. Adcock ready on the 0-2. Pitch comes home and it's skied out towards right, and it's going to curve well foul. It's actually off the light post over there and back down into the stands. So we stay put at 0-2, and the pitch comes home to Maxwell. Bounces in for ball one. Bases are empty with one out here in the bottom half of the second inning. Adcock trying to lead the Otters through a couple of scoreless innings and allow them to be the ones that get on the board first. A pitch low and outside evens our count at 2-2. Maxwell still thought about it as he leaned over the plate quite a bit, but it does even the count up. The 2-2. Swinging strike three finally got him to chase outside, and it's a German American Bank strikeout, the second of the day for Brett Adcock. Officially, Brett Adcock is at 466 right now. Still possible for him to hit 500 by the end of the year, but he's going to have a couple of really good performances to get up there, because you think with 18 games left, he's probably got 4 starts left. You just kind of never know. Pitch comes home. Stays a bit outside for ball one. He thought it might have hit the zone, but he asks home plate umpire Elijah Bester, is that outside? And he gets a nod back. The 1-0. That one bounces in on the inside edge. Easy for Barrymore to leave alone. And the count goes to 2-0. Lane Barrymore, playing left tonight, enters the game with a .267 average. Has some pop in the bat that can kind of come out of nowhere sometimes. The 2-0. Again inside. And make it a 3-0 count. First time that Adcock has fallen back 3-0 today. So a 3-0 pitch is outside and low, ball four, and it's the first walk handed out by the former Michigan man, Brett Adcock. And it brings up the first baseman, Philip Steering. Now, Steering is officially listed as a catcher, but he had to come in yesterday's game to fill in at first after a scary play over there that concerned the, at that time, first baseman Jake Gunter, as Gunter was working his way towards first, stepped wrong, and the knee must have gone out of place or something. He was able to get up and walk off under his own power after the trainer moved some things around in that knee, but he was very unstable on it, and as expected, missing tonight's game as well. Steering's going to start off with ball one on the inside edge. Runner at first, 2 outs. Adcock just looking to keep the slate clean right now. A 1-0 makes its way home. Zoomed out towards left. Baez won't have to hardly move at all as it's right to him for out number 3. We've played 2 full innings, still looking for our first run from Joliet. Top of the third inning from Dooley Health and Care Field in Joliet. Another beautiful day for baseball. A lot of clouds today, but that helps out because temperature's sitting in the 70s and beautiful. Joliet's wearing their primary slammer tops that kind of look like those retro Houston Astros jerseys with the orange and yellow stripes around the middle. They've got the jailbird on the left side and slammers written across the front. Black numbers on the back. Otters are in their full grays with script Evansville written across the front. Blue numbers on the back. George Khalil, Brody Tanksley, and Andy Armstrong are the three due up here in the away half of the third. Khalil has one base hit in the series. It came on Friday night. Starts off the called strike one, almost right down the middle. Khalil also played in his 75th professional game last night. Foul tips one into the foot of Fullerton and away for strike two. George Khalil, of course, the product from University of South Carolina there within the SEC. 0-2 pitch comes home outside, and a good pitch to lay off there from Khalil. Takes the count to 1-2. One ball, two strikes as the pitch comes home to George Khalil. Again, a check swing. It stays just outside. I mean, very close. A pitch we've seen called strike at other points in this game. And it keeps the count at 2-2 for George Khalil. The 2-2. Hit on the ground towards the Britta Johnson at short. He'll throw to first and beat Khalil by probably 15 or 20 feet for out number one. Tell you what, if you love good inside midfield play, this is the series to watch between Mcgarry and Britta Johnson on this Joliet squad and Armstrong and Khalil on Evansville's side. Two very good infields defensively, if that's the kind of baseball you love to watch. Brody Tanksley getting his third start in as many days. Behind the plate, he had a wonderful game on Friday. 2 hits and an RBI double included in that. His first plate appearance tonight starts with ball one well high. A 1-0 pitch is hit on the ground towards the left side. It will end up foul, though. So that will reset things. Prior to a 1-0 count, Tanksley ready at the plate for the 1-0. Catches the outside edge. That's a pitch that would have struck out Khalil in the last at-bat, but it was called a ball. This time it's called a strike. So a 1-2 is hit on the ground weakly by Tanksley, and it's just going to very slowly work its way onto the foul side of that third base line. And because of it, Tanksley will have to make his way back to the plate. So the count stays at 1-2. There's one out and nobody on. Otters still looking for their first base runner of the day. A 1-2 is swung on and missed. Tanksley was ahead of it for a strikeout, the second of the day for Spencer Johnston. So that now brings up the 9-hole hitter, second baseman Andy Armstrong. Armstrong reached on an error in last night's game, but was left at first. He was the only base runner for the Otters in the first 3.5 innings. First pitch stays on the outside edge and bounces away eventually for ball one. 1-0. Again outside. That's a pitch that has been off and on all day. That one is left alone for ball 2. The 2-0, and Armstrong is a little bit ahead of that one for a swinging strike 1. The 2-0 pitch to Armstrong. He lifts this one up towards shallow center. Chasing in is Feinstein, and he will be the one to bring it in for out number 3. 9 up, 9 down for the first time around the order for the Otters. We head to the bottom half of the third. We're still scoreless from Dewey Health and Care Field. It's the catcher, J.P. Fullerton, that kicks off the bottom of the third for Joliet. Their 9-hole hitter today. So far in the game, Slammers have been able to get themselves a man on in the first 2 innings that have left him stranded both times. First pitch home to Fullerton. Stays well high for ball 1. DePrita Johnson and Ware are the next 2 due up here in the third. Adcock gets set for the 1-0. It's lifted high and foul to the left side. Will end up in the seating area. And evens our count up at a ball and a strike. One ball, one strike as Adcock kicks and delivers towards Fullerton. Again, well high, and Tanksley has to leap a little bit to get to it. Adcock again looking in towards home. Already has his sign from Tanksley, and the 2-1 on its way. High and inside, make it 3-1. Wind blowing quite hard in from center field. It'll make it very hard to hit anything deep, as that'll probably kick a lot of things down. 3-1 is lifted high and foul behind home. It's going to carry its way into the seating area, about 8 or 10 rows up. So now with a 3-2 count, Adcock trying to start off with an out. The payoff pitch stays low, just under the knees for a walk, the second of the day for Adcock. And it's a leadoff man on for Joliet for the first time today.
Number 4, Tyler DePrita
So Tyler DePrita-Johnson will make his way to the plate. The righty popped out his first time up. First pitch home is hit solid out towards right. McNamee will let it go as it's going to get itself well foul and onto the berm. So no 1 count now to Tyler DePrita-Johnson with nobody out and a man on first. It stays low and evens our count up at 1-1. Ball hit sharply at Khalil. He makes a wonderful play. The second for one to first. My goodness, that might be the best double play these guys have turned this year. Khalil played that one really hard into the chest and in one fluid motion made the move over to second to Armstrong. It was a bit of an odd throw. Armstrong had to kind of go off a little bit on his off foot as he was off balance, made a turning throw to first, and they get the double play. Officially 6-4-3. And that certainly helps out their pitcher, Brett Adcock. First pitch to Briley Ware now is well inside for ball one. Ware has only recorded 2 outs in this whole series. One was a pop out that did nothing. The other one was a sac fly RBI, so it was still beneficial. His average is now at .324. He fouls one off towards the Otters dugout. Ware's average was sitting in the mid three teens as we started the series, and it's fluctuated there about the 315 area, and then after last night bumped up to 324. A 1-1. Stays inside yet again. Easy one to lay off for Ware, and the count goes to 2-1. As always, love to hear wherever you're listening from today on the Otters Digital Network. Otters are here in Joliet, Illinois, one of the many suburbs of Chicago. Final time they play a game in this area. 3 different Frontier League teams have stadiums here. Schaumburg is just a little bit to our north, and Windy City is just a little bit to our east. And all 3 of these teams have hosted Evansville throughout the year. It's the last trip the Otters are making to this area. And a pitch stays just above the elbows for ball 4. Adcock doesn't love it. He thought it was a called strike on that high inside corner. But instead it's a 2-out walk to Briley Ware. So now with a runner at first and 2 outs, Brett Adcock will have to work around things just a little bit. And it looks like Andy McCauley's just been tossed from the game. He was mentioning his disappointment with the ball and strike there in that last at-bat, and Elijah Bester was having none of it. And just like that, McCauley's been tossed. This certainly seems like one as well that was helping Brett Adcock to not be the one who got tossed, because Adcock was frustrated his last start with some balls and strikes, and I'm sure that Andy McCauley is glad that it's him instead of his pitcher. But now that he has been tossed, he's going to go and have his say at the plate. He and Elijah Bester just inches away from each other, and now Kurt Brannon will start to separate them a little bit. Brandon will walk Andy McCauley back to the dugout, and that will end the day for field manager McCauley, and I assume that it'll be Bobby Siegel maybe that mans third base, or maybe Max Peterson will go ahead and take over those duties as well. Kurt Brandon is having a couple words with the home plate umpire, Elijah Bester. I think just kind of resetting the mind and stuff, as he did seem like he was really getting into it at some point with Andy McCauley, and this might just be a, hey, let's wipe the slate clean and keep moving through this one. Officially, there's 2 outs, a man on first here in the bottom half of the third, and a very close pitch on the high inside corner. Looked like it should have been a called strike 2, or at least could have been a called strike 2. Was left alone for ball 4. Adcock didn't love the call, and it was McCauley who ended up taking the fall. Also makes me assume that maybe this wasn't the first pitch that the Otters dugout has had some opinions about. I know that they've been over there, mentioning things here and there, but it would be surprising if that was the first pitch that Peterson and McCauley had an issue with, and right away McCauley was tossed. But we're ready for a 2-out opportunity with a runner on first. First pitch home from Adcock's on the outside for ball 1 to Matt Birch. Birch is the DH, batting just under .300 this year. A 1-0 bounces in, make it ball 2. And I'm sure at this point Adcock's hoping at least that if they're going to put something in play, let the defense take care of it. I'm sure he just wants to get out of this inning. It's been a tough one for him, a lot of balls. Some of them maybe not his decision as they've been close, but that's part of the game of baseball. A 2-0 home to Birch. It's hit right back up the middle, through for a base hit, and there will be runners at first and second now with 2 outs. So now a base hit could do some damage in this one. Otters have to find a way to be the team who scores first. They have really struggled, especially in these last couple of weeks when they're not the team finding the run column first. Two outs, runners at first and second. Otters just need 1 to get out of this inning. We're in the bottom half of the third. Still scoreless here from Joliet. First pitch home is sent out towards right center field. Long run for both McNamee and Gordon at the wall, and McNamee makes a catch on the run at the warning track for out number 3. Oh, so close to multiple runs scoring for Joliet, but McNamee rips it from under him. We head to the 4th inning. Still scoreless here from Dooley Health and Care Field in Joliet. And we're back at it for the top of the 4th inning here. Still scoreless from Dooley Health and Care Field. Bobby Siegel will take over third base coaching duties for Evansville. Billy Easley will stick in the first base coaching box. Otters are going to start off the half inning with their leadoff man, Miles Gordon, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game. Gordon had his 20-game hit streak shattered last night. First pitch home to him, and it's sent sharply out towards center, but the wind abruptly stops it, and it's an easy play for Feinstein. A fly out to center for out number 1.
Left fielder number 33, Jeffrey Baez.
So Jeffrey Baez, the hard-hitting left fielder for the Otters, making his way to the plate. Had a double in last night's game. Just looking for some consistency here. First pitch to Baez, almost right down the middle for a called strike 1. Quickly ready is Johnston once again. The 0-1 pitch home to Baez. It stays low and evens our count up at 1 ball, 1 strike. A 1-1 is sent out towards center once again. It'll work its way a bit towards right, and because of it, it's the right field Maxwell who brings it in for out number 2. So Steven Sinsley making his way to the plate for the second time today. Grounded out his first time. He is trying to be the first Otter to get on base. Ball sent sharply foul to the right side, will bounce off the front dugout mesh for Joliet. It's strike 1. Ball sent sharply towards the second baseman, Mcgarry. The shift was on for Sinsley, and it was perfectly placed. It's another 4-3 ground out for Sinsley, and with it, we head to the bottom half of the 4th. Evansville's still looking for their first base runner. Otters defense looking to keep this game where it's at. And as we head to the bottom half of the 4th, want to remind you that Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Matt Mcgarry, the 5-hole hitter, will kick things off here in the 4th. He fouled out to the right fielder Elijah McNamee, who made a nice run to make the play his first time up. And he'll start off with ball 1 high for Adcock, who immediately looks back down to his landing spot and moves around some of the turf pellets. Didn't quite like how he landed. The 1-0 is fouled back towards the backstop. And evens our count up at 1-1. Otters return home after this one Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at historic Bosse Field against the Windy City Thunderbolts. Tickets are available now at EvansvilleOtters.com, where you can stop by the box office anytime tomorrow or anytime throughout the week and pick them up. A high foul ball to the right side. Bierman's over there near the wall, and he makes a wonderful catch leaning over the wall. His glove ended up past the first row of seats for out number one here. Bierman lucky to have the long arms he does and really extended his body over the wall for the first out of this inning. And that's a gift to the pitcher, Adcock. Makes his life just a little bit easier. Now 1 out in the back pocket with the right fielder Carson Maxwell making his way to the plate. Maxwell struck out his last time up. That was the last strikeout for Adcock. Just like usual, Adcock's manning that bright red glove on his right hand as the lefty throws home a ball 1 pitch on the high inside corner. It's another one that he didn't really love the call of, as he asked home plate umpire Elijah Bester where that one had missed. The 1-0. A big curveball stays too far high. His curveball doesn't really have its bite that it usually does, that kicks it down into the zone. Right now they're just gracing themselves a little bit too high. A 2-0 home. Stays a bit outside, and it's the second time tonight Adcock's had a 3-0 count against him. The 3-0 almost right down the middle for a called strike, and that one's not one of a automatic call. That's just a true strike 1. The 3-1 pitch is swung on and missed for strike 2. Way out in front of that was Maxwell. Adcock takes a couple extra seconds to reset before the payoff pitch here to Carson Maxwell. 1 out, nobody on. The payoff pitch home. High inside, ball 4. And that's good for the 4th walk of the day from Adcock.
Now batting left fielder number 39, Lane Barrymore.
Lane Barrymore making his way to the plate. He walked his first time up and was stranded at first. This time he's got a man on first in front of him, and 1 out. Adcock staring down the man at first, and the first pitch home. Catches the high inside corner for a called strike 1. The 0-1 is swung on and missed. Barrymore was way in front of the changeup there, and that has Adcock ahead 0-2. One on, 1 out, and an 0-2 count to Lane Barrymore. Huge chance for Adcock to grab himself a second out. The 0-2 well inside, ball 1. As leaning out of the way to keep himself safe was Lane Barrymore. A 1-2 is fouled away to the right side. We did have Carson Maxwell breaking towards second, trying to grab an extra base, but he'll have to make his way back to first after that foul ball. Otters only have 9 home games left. If you'd like to spend one of them in one of the Otters' great party areas, you can do that by calling the front office. A hard hit ball by Barrymore into left field's down for a base hit. Baez will pick it up, and now there's runners at first and second for the second straight inning.
Now batting first baseman number 5, Philip Searing.
So the 8-hole hitter, first baseman Philip Steering, makes his way to the plate, lined out to Baez his last time up. Adcock taking a second to hop back on the mound. And we're finally ready to go before the first pitch to Philip Steering with 1 out and runners at first and second. First pitch home to Steering, and it's lifted high inside the infield. Armstrong will work in just a little bit for out number 2. And that makes the life much easier now for Brett Adcock and the Otters defense, as they only need 1. So the 9-hole hitter, J.P. Fullerton, makes his way to the plate. 2 outs, runners at first and second. Fullerton carries a first at-bat into this game with a walk earlier in this one. First pitch is outside for ball 1. Adcock right now sitting right about 50% of his pitches as strikes. Has certainly had a lot not go his way when it comes to balls and strike counts. A 1-0 home. Swinging strike 1 as he put it right in the exact same area on the outside edge, and Fullerton chased it out there. Schaumburg and Windy City are just about to get started from Crestwood, not too far from here. And Trois-Rivières and New York are getting started here shortly as well. 1-1 lifted high and foul down the third base line, and Davis is going to certainly run out of room as that one ends up about 7 rows up in the seating area. And games that will take place once we have concluded, or at least maybe we'll start right as we're concluding. Empire State at Tri-City, Florence at Lake Erie, a second game between Schaumburg and Windy City, and then Washington at Gateway. A 1-2 pitch makes its way home. Called strike 3. And Brett Adcock gets himself out of the inning after allowing a couple of men on. We head to the 5th, still scoreless from Joliet. Top of the 5th inning. This game's still looking for its first run. Elijah McNamee, Zach Bierman, and J.R. Davis are the three due up for Evansville in this half inning. Otters are still looking for their first base runner of the game. First pitch home to McNamee, taken for a called strike one right at the elbows. Oh, 1 count on its way home to McNamee. He zooms one out towards center. Feinstein will chase back towards the warning track at the wall, and he brings it in for out number 1. Last night, that ball leaves this ballpark, but tonight with the wind coming in from center, McNamee just couldn't get it over that wall out there. And it's a really long fly out to kick off this 5th inning. And that's 2 different times today. McNamee should have had himself a base hit, but just didn't quite grab it. First pitch home to Bierman is bounced in for ball 1. One 0 count for Zach Bierman. There's 1 out and nobody on. Bierman will leave it alone on the outside edge for ball 2. Spencer Johnston can sure get a lot of good movement on his pitches home. A 2-0. Works towards the inside edge, but stays too high, so it's ball 3. A 3-0 pitch on the way. And that one is left alone low for ball 4. And the first base runner for the Otters all day comes via the walk to Zach Bierman. So now J.R. Davis strides in. 1 man on, 1 man out. Evansville still looking for their first base hit in this one. A first pitch heads home for a called strike on that inside edge. And Davis will reset before stepping back in. Now ready on the 0-1. Very similar location on that high inside corner. It's called ball 1, and right away Johnston raised his hands, was wondering why it wasn't called a strike. And he goes and punches the rosin bag a couple times against his arms, and now he's ready to go for the 1-1 home to J.R. Davis, who puts it right back up the middle. It curves a little bit. Nice play from DePrita Johnson. They'll go to second for 1, but they don't make it to first in time. DePrita Johnson just made a play out of absolutely nothing. A lot of shortstops and second baseman tandems let that ball go through for a base hit, but they somehow make it there. Bierman's out on his way to second. Davis will reach on the 6-4 fielder's choice. So it remains 1 man on for Evansville, but now there's 2 outs for George Khalil. Spencer Johnston looking in towards home. Nods and glances towards first as the first pitch comes home to Khalil, and he foul tips it into the glove of Fullerton. An 0-1 for the shortstop, George Khalil. And he puts it foul to the right side. Will end up off of the sweet doors and then into the seating area. Oh, 2 now the count for George Khalil. Pitch comes home, and it's sharply foul to the left side. Will end up over near the Otters bullpen. And Bobby Siegel will make the jog over there and toss the ball to a lucky fan out there on the berm. So we'll reset for the 0-2 once again to George Khalil. Put right back up the middle towards center, and it's going to drop for a base hit. Man, it would have been huge for a play like that to happen if Bierman managed to make it to second. Either the bases would have been loaded or maybe a man scored, but now Otters do have men on first and second with 2 outs, and Brody Tanksley heading to the plate. He had 2 big hits on Friday night. This would be a great chance for him to return to not only the hit column, but also the RBI column. By the way, that is the first hit of the game for the Otters, thanks to George Khalil, the 50th hit of his young professional career. Called strike starts off the count for Brody Tanksley. He struck out his first time up and also saw the K 2 times last night. Johnston fires home on the 0-1, and right before he throws, he decides to step off and reset. An 0-1 towards Tanksley. It's hit very weakly down the third base line. It's going to stay fair, and because Ware doesn't pick it up and do anything with it, all of the runners are going to stay safe. The bases are now loaded with 2 outs. Ware was hoping it was going to work itself foul. Then it stayed fair, and he tried to pick it up and quickly get to third. He was not able to beat J.R. Davis there. The bases are loaded after Tanksley's infield single. So it's Andy Armstrong heading to the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs. A huge chance for Evansville to not only take the lead, but potentially put their foot down with a couple of runs. First pitch home, just under the knees for ball 1. Breeze still blows in pretty hard from left field. The 1-0 is bounce foul right back behind home. And the count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two outs in the top of the 5th inning. Bases are loaded for Evansville. And a 1-1 count to Andy Armstrong. Pitch on the way. Push down the right field line. And it's going to stay foul by 7 or 8 feet over there. Boy, that would have been big for the Otters, as Tanksley got a great jump. Had it dropped down the right field line, it's possible the Otters could have scored 3 there. But instead, we have to reset. Bases still loaded. Still 2 outs on the board. Now a 1-2 count to Andy Armstrong. Pitch heads home. Put out towards center. It's going to drop for a base hit. 1 run's going to score for Evansville. Khalil rounds third, and 2 runs score. The Otters have themselves a lead. Armstrong just dropped it into center field. And finally, Evansville puts themselves in an opportunity this series to have themselves a lead and a chance to still build on it. Davis scored easily, obviously, and Khalil was scoring from the get-go as he rounded third hard. Brody Tanksley just stayed at second as that pitch was kind of close to his area out there. So there's 2 on, 2 outs, and 2 home for Evansville here in the 5th. With the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon, making his way to the plate. The first pitch home is skied out towards left center, and now it's starting to really curve towards left, and in shallow left field, Barrymore brings it in for out number 3, but not before the Otters take the lead on a 2-run single from Andy Armstrong. We've played 4.5. It's Evansville 2, Slammers 0. Bottom of the 5th inning here on the Otters Digital Network. We're at the Center Point Energy center point of the game. Evansville has themselves a 2-run lead after having the bases loaded in the top half of the 5th. Andy Armstrong brought home the game's first 2 runs. And now Adcock kicks off the bottom half with a called strike to Tyler DePrita Johnson. Now a pitch sent out towards center. Gordon will drop back about 5 or 6 feet and bring it in for the first outs here in the 5th. Briley Ware will make his way to the plate. He has been exceptional this whole series. Ware is ready at the plate. The bases are empty. There's 1 out. As the first pitch comes home, a called strike almost right down the middle. A lot of cloud coverage today, but absolutely no chance for rain. Just keeping things nice and cool here in Joliet. 0-1 to Ware, and it's sent foul down the first base line. Just a dribbler that stays foul and takes the count to 0-2. Boy, would this be a nice out for Adcock to get. The 0-2 fouled right back into the netting, and we'll have to do it all again. Ware at the plate now. Matt Birch standing on deck as an 0-2 comes home to Ware. High outside, ball 1. Brody Tanksley making his 3rd start behind the plate in a row for Evansville. He has been good in this series, so why not keep him in there? The 1-2 looked really good. The curveball just stayed too far in. So the count's at 2 balls, 2 strikes for Briley Ware. Adcock trying to pick up what would be one of the biggest outs of the day. Ball zoomed into left field. It's down for a base hit and maybe more. Baez finally gets to it in the Otters bullpen, and it's a stand-up double for Briley Ware. The exceptional weekend continues for the third baseman Ware.
Now batting designated hitter number 18, Matt Birch.
Adcock a bit upset as he thought he had got himself his called strike 3, but it was left alone for ball 2 instead, and then the next pitch he gives up the base hit. So the DH, Matt Birch, steps in now, runner at second, and 1 out. First pitch home, outside, ball 1. And we'll now have to see just how important that second run that came in for Evansville might be. Because 1 run allowed here doesn't hurt too much right now. The 1-0. Swinging, strike 1, evens our count up. That pitch just broke away from Matt Birch, and he chased it, even took a step towards it. But he watches his count even up. Adcock at the back of the rubber up there on the mound. And the lefty's ready for the 1-1. Stays on that outside edge. This one is left alone for ball 2. These lefty-lefty matchups, Adcock has been good in. As the 2-1 pitch stays outside yet again, and will take to a 3-1 advantage now. They checked to see if he went, but the third base umpire, Kevin Worth, said no. So it remains 3-1. A glance towards second for Adcock, and the 3-1 heads home to Birch. Swinging, strike 2 was foul tipped into the glove of Brody Tanksley. Wind now maybe at its most aggressive it's been all day, blowing in from left center field. That flag is almost straight sideways. As the 3-2 pitch makes its way home to the DH Birch. Outside, ball 4. There's men at first and second.
Now batting center fielder number 33, Matt Feinstein.
Otters have a couple of men just doing routine stretching down there in their bullpen. Nobody throwing or warming up yet. First pitch home to Matt Feinstein. On the inside edge for a called strike 1. Got to be careful with Feinstein. He has home runs in the first 2 games of this series, and one right here would put the Slammers right back in front. The next pitch catches the inside edge again and make it an 0-2 count. So Adcock has a couple of pitches go his way. And we are ready for the 0-2 pitch to Matt Feinstein. It's on the way now. Missed to the low outside corner. Adcock liked the positioning. He was trying to get a man to chase, and he did not. So we'll be forced to reset here. The 1-2 to Matt Feinstein with one out, and it's fouled right back into the netting, and we'll have to do it again. Some of these Slammers hitters have done an exceptional job of really making Adcock work hard. The 1-2 counts for Matt Feinstein. Low and inside, a good stop from Tanksley. Evens our count up at 2-2. Again, this is a ballpark where you really cannot afford to have the ball work too far away from the catcher, because if it gets back towards the backstop, it is easily a free base. A 2-2 home. Missed on the outside corner. And Adcock frustrated there as he retakes the mound. He thought he had caught that outside edge and gotten himself out number 2. Instead, we're at a full count. Big out to get for Brett Adcock. Payoff pitch home. Outside, ball 4. The bases are loaded. A double from Ware, and now back-to-back walks have forced Max Peterson's hand. He has to make a walkout to his pitcher and at least discuss some things. A lot of men up and walking around in the Otters bullpen, but no one officially throwing right now. So a long meeting up there as the entire infield comes in to talk with Max Peterson. Still nobody throwing right now for the Otters. Peterson says a few words to the home plate umpire Elijah Bester on his way by and makes his way back towards his dugout. Bases are loaded. There's one out with Matt Mcgarry, the second baseman, making his way to the plate for Joliet. A must get out now. And the Otters want to make sure that if they give up a run, it's just one, and want to find any way to prevent a second run from scoring and at least keep themselves ahead in this one. The first pitch home to Matt Mcgarry. Stays low and inside, ball 1. The count extends to 1 ball, no strikes. As the next pitch comes in, too far inside, make it ball 2. Adcock got a couple of called strikes right there in the last half inning. And now the Otters have a man up and throwing. It's either Jacob Bowles or Zach Smith. Hard to tell from here as the pitchers do throw this direction, so it's hard to see the numbers. Ball sent out towards left center. Long run for Baez, and it gets past him. 1 run's going to score. 2 runs are going to score. A 3rd run's coming home, and it might be a triple. The throw to third is going to be just late, and 3 men score on a bases clearing triple from Matt Mcgarry. And just like that, the Otters had themselves a lead, and they've watched it vanish. Baez made a good run towards that ball, was ready to commit towards potentially laying out for it, decided not to, and it bounced right under his glove and all the way back to the wall. And because of it, Joliet's taken a 3-2 lead. Carson Maxwell at the plate now. 1 out and a runner at third. He lifts one very high and foul down the right field side. Bierman's got a play on it, and he brings it in for out number 2 in foul territory. And that will bring the left fielder Lane Baremore to the plate.
Now batting left fielder number 39, Lane Baremore.
So Joliet finally strikes in this one, and it was right after Evansville had found the scoreboard. And because of it, it's given Joliet a lead in this one. 3-2 the score. 2 outs and a runner at third for Lane Baremore. He takes pitch 1 high and inside for ball 1. Defense is now set up pretty much straight up all the way around, as the left fielder Baremore waits on the 1-0, which bounces in for ball 2. A great stop by Tanksley to keep it in front of him. The ball only worked itself maybe 2 or 3 feet away from him, and he kept himself alive. Time taken for a second as Matt Mcgarry, the runner on third, stops to tie his shoe. And we're ready to go on a 2-0 count with 2 outs and a runner at third for Lane Baremore. Adcock still looking in towards his catcher Tanksley, and he'll step off and reset. Has his sign. The 2-0. Swinging strike 1. A good pitch there from Adcock. Slowed it way down, 79 mile an hour, and got the man to swing at it. Wind continues to blow in pretty well from left center field as a 2-1 count heads home to Baremore. Called strike 2, that one on the high inside edge. Huge gap right up the middle as Lane Baremore waits on a 2-2 pitch with 2 outs and a runner at third. Pitch comes home. It's off the handle of the bat towards left center, and it's going to drop in front of everyone for a base hit. Gordon picks it up right afterwards, but it's an RBI single from Baremore that has extended the lead even further for Joliet. Now a 4-2 advantage for the Slammers.
Now batting first baseman number 5, Philip Steering.
Philip Steering, the first baseman, who's 0 for 2 on the day, is the next batter to come to the plate. 2 outs and a runner at first for him. Every time he's come to the plate today, he's had at least one man on. Takes a first pitch ball on the inside. Runner at first is Lane Baremore as the 1-0 comes home to Steering. It bounces in for ball 2. Whichever Otter is warming up, whether it be Bowles or Smith, is ready to go. They've stepped off the warm-up mound out there and seem ready at any point. 2-0 is half swung on. They'll check down, and it's ball 3. I thought it was going to be a called strike regardless, but it must have stayed too high, so our count's 3-0. The 3-0 pitch home to Philip Steering. That one's taken for a called strike at the furthest most high inside corner. So it's a 3-1 count to the first baseman, Philip Steering, with a runner at first and 2 outs. Zoom towards left, down for another base hit. Right in front of Baez in left. There's runners at first and second. And the big inning continues for Joliet.
Now batting catcher number 14, J.P. Fullerton.
So now the 9-hole hitter, J.P. Fullerton, makes his way to the plate with runners at first and second and 2 outs. There is a pretty big gap to the right side of second base as Armstrong's playing in a shallow shallow right field area, expecting J.P. Fullerton to pull a bit. First pitch home's high and inside for ball one. The runner at first is steering. At second, Lane Barrymore. There's 2 outs and a 1-0 pitch on its way. Works towards the outside edge. Fullerton won't bite at it. So because of it, the count goes to 2-0. Two balls, no strikes for the catcher, J.P. Fullerton. Stays well outside, make it ball 3. And Adcock is one potential pitch away from loading the bases for the second time in this inning. .30 pitch. Called strike. That one was on the high outside corner, but certainly a strike. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. Slammers have taken a lead here in the bottom half of the fourth. Ball is hit hard and foul right over the top of the Otters dugout, and will get well out of play and take this to a full 3-2 count. A must get out for Brett Adcock. As he nods home to his catcher, Tanksley. The 3-2 payoff pitch to J.P. Fullerton. Zoomed into right, down for another base hit. Another run's going to score, potentially a second on the play, as rounding third is Philip Steering, and it's a 2-run double for J.P. Fullerton. Two more score. And with it, our game hits 6-2 in favor of Joliet, and Max Peterson will come out and be forced to make a change. The day will end for Brett Adcock. We'll let you know who's coming in for him right after this on the Otters Digital Network. Tough way to end the game for Brett Adcock. Jacob Bowles into the game for the Otters, looking to slam the door shut on Joliet, who has scored 6 runs in the inning. The inning started with a fly out from Tyler DePreta Johnson, a hard hit ball, but one that Gordon was able to make it to in time. Then 3 straight men reach, Ware on a double, Birch on a walk, and Feinstein on a walk. With the bases loaded, Matt Mcgarry brought them all home with a 3-run triple. Directly after a foul out from Carson Maxwell, Lane Barrymore brought in 1 more run with an RBI single. Philip Steering got himself a single to get on base. And then J.P. Fullerton brought them both home with a 2-run double just now. So the second time in the inning, Tyler DePretta Johnson makes his way to the plate. Jacob Bowles on the mound for Evansville. First pitch home is sent out towards right. A long run for McNamee towards the warning track and foul territory. He brings it in for out number 3, but not before. 6 runs score for Joliet. They've taken a lead and chased Brett Adcock from the game. We head to the 6th. Evansville down by 4. Top half of the 6th inning here on the Otters Digital Network. Evansville scored 2 runs in the top half of the 5th, but Joliet answered with 6 of their own in the bottom half of the 5th inning, and because of it, they carry a 4-run lead now into this 6th. Evansville will bring up Jeffrey Baez, Steven Sinsley, and Elijah McNamee in the half inning. The 3 have combined for 0 for 6 on the day. Baez is 0 for 2. Both of them flyouts to right field. Although the wind surely didn't help one of them. It was hard hit. A called strike 1 kicks off the at-bat for Jeffrey Baez. And now an 0-1 is sent foul to the right side. It's going to get well out of this ballpark and end up in the street out there. So it's quickly an 0-2 count for Jeffrey Baez, with nobody on and nobody out, kicking off this 6th. An 0-2 well outside. A tough one for Baez to lay off, but he is able to. And that takes our count to 1-2. Another pitch low and outside. And Baez has evened up his count at 1-1. Or sorry, 2-2. 2-2 pitch to Jeffrey Baez. Sent right back up the middle with some force and into center field for a base hit. The first of the day for Jeffrey Baez. And Baez has himself hits now in back-to-back games. Steven Sinsley now the man walking to the plate. Sinsley launched a 3-run home run in the 9th inning of last night's game. Though it didn't do enough to bring the Otters back in the game, it was an absolute moonshot. Stepping off for a second is the pitcher Spencer Johnston. Still nobody warming up in the pen for Joliet right now. As the first pitch home to Sinsley is taken for a called strike on the outside edge. No balls, 1 strike for Steven Sinsley. Stays low and evens the count at 1-1. Baez kind of hinted as if he wanted to grab an extra base. They have the shift on, even with a man on base. 3 infielders on the right side, and Sinsley goes against it, puts one down the right field line for extra bases. Sinsley rounding first towards second. Baez is going to be held at third, and there are men at second and third now with nobody out here in the top half of the 6th. Really hard hit ball by Sinsley, and he placed it perfectly out there in right field. Evansville now with a couple of guys in scoring position, with Elijah McNamee heading to the plate next. Going to have a quick discussion up on the mound as the manager of Joliet, Dan Schlereth, makes his way out to chat with his pitcher and catcher. They're the only 2 that will come meet with him. And with it, Joliet now has a man that's starting to throw in their bullpen. So a long meeting out there, as now finally the home plate umpire Elijah Bester will go out and start to break things up. Otters have kicked off this 6th inning with back-to-back hits, a single from Baez and a double from Sinsley, with some of the most dangerous bats in this order coming up next. McNamee, Bierman, Davis. Would be huge if Evansville could hop right back into this one. Johnston taking his time, looking in towards his catcher. Finally has his sign. The first pitch home to Elijah McNamee. Stays high for ball 1. Otters would love a RBI hit here from Big Hit Mac to get themselves right back in this one. The 1-0 catches the outside edge, the high outside corner to be exact. And because of it, McNamee will see his count even up at a ball and a strike. McNamee's 0 for 2. A couple of hard hit balls. They've just been unfortunate placements. The 1-1. Softly off the bat down the first base line, but it will dribble foul and take the count to 1-2. Baez and Sinsley were both quickly off their bases, so even if it had been kind of grounded down that first base line, McNamee would have at least brought in 1. One ball, 2 strikes for Elijah McNamee. There's runners at second and third, and nobody out here in the top of the 6th inning. Chance for Evansville to firmly put themselves back into this game. The 1-2 to McNamee. Sent out towards center field, down for a base hit. Baez will score easily. Sinsley rounding third. He will score easily as well. It's a 2-run single from Elijah McNamee, and just like that, the Otters are within 2. Big hit Mac delivers once again. At least right now, there's no plan for a change for Joliet. It looks like Johnson will stay in to face Zach Bierman with a runner at first and nobody out. Bierman on the day is 0 for 1, a fly out to center and a walk to his name. First pitch to him. High outside, ball 1. The 1-0 to the lefty Bierman, and it's foul tipped into the glove of Fullerton and evens our count up at a ball and a strike. McNamee at first. They'll go check on him, and the throw was almost high and away, but able to jump and grab it with steering. McNamee remains safe at first. There's nobody out, and Zach Bierman at the plate. Another big bat for Evansville. The 1-1. And Bierman will send it off the bat back towards the concourse area here. And with it, take the count to 1-2. The 1-2. Bierman sends it softly to the right side of the infield. They'll go to second for 1. The relay to first is not in time to get Bierman. And it will be a 3-6 fielder's choice that retires McNamee on his way to second and allows Bierman to reach on that fielder's choice. And as McNamee gets down into the dugout, he's greeted with a lot of praise from his teammates, and a pitching change will be needed. Spencer Johnson sees his day come to an end. We'll let you know who's coming in for him right after this. Evansville's pulled within 2, so we sit here in the top of the 6th inning. Jared Liebelt gets the nod out of the bullpen for Joliet. He will replace Spencer Johnston. Liebelt is a 6-0 righty out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was a 20th round draft pick by Arizona in the 2019 draft out of Mississippi State University. Right there alongside Elijah McNamee. He played in rookie ball in single A the last couple of years and has now fallen to the independents where he plays here for Joliet, making his 14th appearance this season. He has a 7.24 ERA this year. His first pitch to J.R. Davis on the way. Stays low and inside for ball one. Otters have scored 2 here in this top of the 6th inning to bring themselves to within 2, but still have work to do. Bierman stands on first, just 1 out here in the inning. The 1-0 to Davis. Sent on the ground to the right side, going to be a long run. It's through for a base hit. And the Otters will have men at first and second now, as Davis just graced one past the diving second baseman Mcgarry, who almost made a wonderful play there. So there's now runners at first and second with 1 out, and George Khalil making his way to the plate. He's 1 for 2 on the day. He had a single in the 5th and was brought home by Andy Armstrong's 2-run single. There is another man warming up for Joliet now in their bullpen. The first pitch home to George Khalil is on the way inside, ball 1. Liebelt can definitely throw the ball hard. The 1-0 is a swinging strike 1. Khalil was just a little bit behind on that swing, and because of it, his count evens up at 1-1. Liebelt's ready for the 1-1. As the pitch is on the way. Taken well inside again, make it 2-1. Khalil stands back in, 2-1 his count. Runners at first and second, and just 1 out in this top of the 6th inning. A 2-1. Low, ball 3. And a chance now for Khalil to walk to first and load the bases for Brody Tanksley. Three balls, 1 strike for the shortstop, George Khalil. The pitch on the way, and it's grounded off towards the Otters dugout for a foul ball, strike 2, and we've got a full count now. One out, 2 on, and a 3-2 count to George Khalil. Trying to help the Otters get just a little bit closer in this one. A payoff pitch from Jared Liebelt. Swinging strike 3. And George Khalil will sit down with a strikeout, his first of the day. The first one of the day for Liebelt as well. And now Brody Tanksley walks up with 2 outs and 2 on. Evansville scored 2 so far here in the inning. The first pitch to the catcher, Brody Tanksley. On the way, it's well outside for ball 1. Fastball zipped way outside. One ball, no strikes for Tanksley, with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Tanksley sends one up the middle towards DePritta Johnson at short. He'll play over to first in time for out number 3. The Otters are able to score 2 more runs on an Elijah McNamee 2-run single. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Otters still trail by 2. Bottom half of the 6th inning here, and Evansville was able to pull to within 2 in that top half, but still trails 6-4 in this one. That big 6-run inning in the 5th for Joliet, right now at least, still proving to be the difference maker. Briley Ware will step in for his first opportunity in this inning. He's 2 for 2 on the day with 2 doubles and a walk. He hits one hard out towards center. Gordon with a long run out towards the warning track, and it drops behind him for another double. 3 on the day for Briley Ware. The Otters can just not figure him out. So now the designated hitter, Matt Birch, steps in. He's 1 for 2, a single, a fielder's choice, and a walk. He's got a runner at second and nobody out. Jacob Bowles ready for the first pitch home to Matt Birch. And it's on the way. Low and inside, it's driven out towards center. Gordon's able to get there in time for out number 1. Ware will not be able to advance. So there's now 1 out, still a runner on second, and the center fielder Matt Feinstein heading to the plate. Been a little bit cold in this game, despite hitting home runs in the first 2 games. Bowles has himself set on the bump. A glance out to second in the 0-1 home. And it's well inside for ball 1. One 0 right at the elbows, but it stays just a bit high. Looked like a good pitch, but instead it's left alone for ball 2. Ball sent out foul to the right side. It's going to get well out of play and will end up out of the ballpark as well. Two balls, one strike as the pitch comes home to Matt Feinstein. Outside yet again, and the count goes to 3-1. Briley Ware stands out there at second. There's one out here in the bottom half of the 6th. Bulls trying to do whatever he can do to keep this game at a 2-run Otters deficit and none bigger than that. A called strike right on the inside edge will take the count to full. That was a big pitch to get for Jacob Bulls. Another outside pitch. That one will walk the man to first, and there's runners at first and second now with one out in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
Second baseman, number 8, Mcgarry.
Tanksley resets things as he steps out and gives signs around to his defense. There's one out, runners at first and second. Matt Mcgarry heading to the plate. On the day, Mcgarry is 1 for 3, had the bases clearing triple back in the 5th inning. First pitch to him here is taken for a called strike, belt high inside edge. Tough way for Adcock's day to end. He had a couple of pitches not go his way, and they set up difficult situations for him because of it. A few extra runs scored and put Evansville in a tough situation. He was pulled from the game. Bulls was able to grab the final out, but the damage was already done. Evansville was able to bring themselves a little closer in that 6th inning, but still trail 6-4. 0-1 pitch to Matt Mcgarry with one out and runners on first and second. It stays too low at the knees and evens our count up at 1-1. Breeze continues to blow in pretty hard from center. More wind than it is breeze, I guess. 1-1 to Mcgarry, and he fouls it back over the top of Tanksley, and because of it, it takes the count to 1-2. This is a must-get out for Bulls. As I glance down the left field line, I see that Jake Polancic is starting to throw for Evansville in the bullpen. The 1-2 pitch to Matt Mcgarry. A half swing, and it stays too far outside and evens the count up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Looks close enough to be a called strike. But it won't matter as it's left alone ball 2. We're even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. And time is called. Looked like it was called back behind home plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Matt Mcgarry, the second baseman. And it's swung through for a swinging strike 3, and Jacob Bulls is going to grab his first German-American Bank strikeout of the day. And that's a real important one because it now means the Otters can grab this final out wherever they need to. Runners at first and second, 2 outs, and Carson Maxwell, the right fielder, striding towards the plate. Maxwell on the day is 0 for 2. Had a walk in the 4th inning. And elsewhere, a strikeout and a flyout. First pitch home to him here in this at-bat. Low and outside, 4-1. Bowles with a glance out towards second and delivers on the 1-0. Again, stays low just under the knees for ball 2. Close pitches, but the Otters just aren't quite able to capitalize. The 2-0 pitch bounces in for ball 3. And now Bowles will have to try to avoid walking the bases loaded with 2 outs here. We had to take a second to reset as a ball got loose from the Evansville bullpen. And we're ready to keep going now. 3-0 count, 2 outs, 2 on for Joliet. And it is sent heavily foul to the right side. It's going to end up out of the stadium. Fouled off that way. A 3-1 count to Carson Maxwell. And it's too far outside. Ball 4, the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Well, it has been the walks that have absolutely killed Evansville in this game. As a pitching staff, they've thrown 8 of them compared to just 4 strikeouts. Max Peterson out to have a word with his pitcher, and he will now make a pitching change as well. We will take a second and see exactly who's going to come in for the Otters. Looks like Jake Polancic. Evansville needing a pitching change for the 2nd straight inning. Evansville down 6-4 in this one. We're in the bottom half of the 6th. Still here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Joliet's used a couple of walks to load the bases. And a pitching change needed for Evansville. Jake Polancic will be the one to get the nod out of the bullpen. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Polancic on the mound. Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. First pitch home to Barremore's good for a called strike on that inside edge. Polancic has been a lot of fun to watch recently, especially with the way he's been able to strike batters out. Polancic has a total now of 17 strikeouts in his last 4 opportunities. In those last 4 chances, he's given up no runs, no hits, and just 1 walk compared to those, 15 strikeouts. 1 walk, 15 strikeouts in his last 4 appearances. No runs or hits either. An 0-2 to Barremore. A check swing they see, and they say no, he did not, down the first base line. So Polancic got himself close to grabbing a strikeout. His count's even at 1-2. Bases are loaded, 2 outs. We try again on the 1-2. And it looked like the home plate umpire was going to call strike 3. It brings Max Peterson out of the dugout. He was very upset, as it looked like a great pitch, and the home plate umpire, Elijah Bester, stepped out and was ready to punch him out, and now Kurt Brannon's having to walk in to give a warning to Max Peterson. It was a great pitch from Polancic. Surely looked like a called strike 3. The Otters were all starting to run in towards the dugout because Bester behind home plate stepped back and got his arm up like he was ready to punch him out. He did not, so the count goes to 2-2 for Lane Barremore. This one's lifted foul and will get out of play. So because of it all, we go to a 2-2 count still. 2 outs, bases loaded. Huge chance for Jake Polancic to help slam the door and keep the Otters to within 2. 2-2 pitch home. Swinging strike 3. Got it done that time. And with it, we head to the 7th. Otters trail by 2. On to the back third of this one we go. Evansville trails 6-4. They'll look to score 2 runs for the third straight inning to try to tie this game back up. Andy Armstrong, Miles Gordon, and Jeffrey Baez are the 3 due up in the 7th inning. Otters only had 2 multi-run innings in the whole first 5 games of the road trip. They've got 2 today. First pitch home is low and outside to Armstrong. 4-1. Pretty good gap right up the middle for Armstrong. That's where he got his 2-run single earlier in the game. Pushes one to the right side foul. It's going to end up on the berm out there. Armstrong's 2-run single at that point gave the Otters a 2-run lead, but it immediately went the other way in the bottom half of the 5th when 6 runs scored for Joliet. Ball sent sharply to the right side. It's going to end up in the dugouts of the Slammers. Everyone's all right, though. We do have a final from Ottawa. The Titans come from behind to win 6-2. They scored 5 eighth-inning runs to win that one and get themselves a little bit closer to Quebec at the top of the East Division. That gap is now just 3 games. The 1-2 home, high inside for ball 2. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Sussex County leads at New Jersey 5-2. And in the top of the 6th, not far from here, Schaumburg has a 3-0 lead at Windy City. They're playing 2 7-inning games today in a doubleheader. If Schaumburg wins that one, they will keep themselves solidified at the second place spot. A swinging strike 3 will sit down Andy Armstrong via the strikeout. It's the second for Jared Liebelt. So back to the top of the order we go, and the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon. He's 0 for 3, a strikeout and 2 separate flyouts to deep in the outfield. First pitch home to Gordon is high and outside for ball 1. One ball, no strikes towards Miles Gordon as the pitch comes home, almost in the exact same place, high and outside for ball 2. A 2-0 pitch to Gordon. That one is near the same place the last 2 were, but this one's called strike 1. Wind continues to blow in from center field as a 2-1 pitch makes its way towards Gordon. Swinging, strike 2, and our count's evened up. Otters are back at home after this one. They travel as soon as this game ends to get back to Evansville tonight. Tuesday night is the first game of a 3-game set with Windy City. First pitch for all 3 nights is 6:35. We got a Taco Tuesday on Tuesday night. Come to Bossy Field and try the new Supreme Taco for just $4. Wednesday night's a Senior Connection Wednesday. All individuals 65 years of age or older have a $2 general admission ticket waiting for them at the box office. And on Thursday, celebrate Thirsty Thursday with discounted beers. A check swing, and they say, yes, he did go. And Miles Gordon will sit down with a strikeout as well. It's back-to-back strikeouts to start the inning for Liebelt. So with 2 down and nobody on, Jeffrey Baez is on his way to the plate. He's 1 for 3, 2 hard flyouts to right field, and then a single in the 6th that just dribbled its way up the middle. The first pitch to Jeffrey Baez. On the way now from Jared Liebelt. Well outside. It gets past the catcher Fullerton. 4-1. One ball, no strikes for Jeffrey Baez. It's sent right back up the middle again. This one a hard hit into center for Jeffrey Baez's second single of the day. And with it, Jeffrey Baez now has 14 multi-hit outings this year. And walking out from the Joliet dugout is the manager, Dan Schlereth, and he will go ahead and make a pitching change. The day will end for Jared Liebelt after the 2-out single. We'll let you know who's coming in for him right after this on the Otters Digital Network. Tanner Keast will get the nod out of the right field bullpen for Joliet. It's called the bullpens presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Keast on the mound, Fullerton behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. 2 outs, runner on first, and Steven Sinsley heading to the plate. Boy, would the Otters love another home run from him. Keast ready for the first pitch to Sinsley. It's on the way now. Low and inside, a called strike one. Seemed a bit inside, and I think Sinsley felt the same way about it as he immediately turned towards the home plate umpire and shook his head a bit. So the count's 0-1 for Sinsley. A runner at first and 2 outs. 0-1 on the way. There goes Baez towards second. The throw out to second's high, and because of it, Baez is going to get in there with a stolen base. And with it, Jeffrey Baez has hit that big milestone in his career. 250 stolen bases in his career that spans well over 900 professional games played. He's a man that can certainly surprise you with the speed he's got. Steven Sinsley now ready on an 0-2 with the runner at second and 2 outs. An 0-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3, and nothing will come from it from the Otters. We head to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Evansville still trails by 2. Home half of the 7th inning here. We've stretched in Joliet, and we're ready for Steering, Fullerton, and DePretta Johnson to get things going in this 7th. Steering will lead things off. He's 1 for 3, had a single back in that huge 5th inning that helped keep things alive for Joliet. He scored on the very next at-bat, a 2-run double from Fullerton. Starts off with ball 1 inside from Jake Polancic, who had a monster strikeout that last time up in the half inning. It was a huge opportunity. Bases were loaded with 2 outs, and he got the out he was brought in to grab, and he'll continue in this one. 2 balls start things off in this count, as Philip Steering steps back in and takes a called strike 1 on the low inside corner. Certainly has been a tough day for both sets of pitchers, both sets of lineups, as there's been a lot of frustration with the strike zone. 2-1 is lifted high and foul to the right side. All things considered, it has been a bit inconsistent, which that's, of course, you never expect an umpire to be perfect. You just ask that whatever things seem to go, he's consistent through the 9 innings, and that seemed to not be the case tonight for Elijah Bester. And certainly both benches have been upset with it. The Otters just a little bit more so, as that was the cause for Andy McCauley's departure from this game, and just about the cause for Max Peterson's departure. Is he just received I don't want to necessarily call it a warning because it wasn't an official warning, but it was just probably a don't do that again. So regardless, it's been a tough day for both benches, as a 3-2 stays inside on a very close pitch. We've seen it called a strike. We've seen it called a ball. This time it's a ball that allows Philip Steering to reach on the walk. And that will require now Jake Polancic to do things a little bit differently. Runner on first, nobody out. He's only given up 1 walk in his last 4 appearances. Now so far in this one, the 2 batters he's faced, one's had a strikeout, one's had a walk. Steering stands on first with the catcher J.P. Fullerton making his way to the plate. Had that 2 RBI double back in the 5th inning, and it was his 2-run double that right now is the difference maker in the game. Lifted the lead, or lifted the total for Joliet from 4 to 6. An 0-1 pitch to J.P. Fullerton. Misses on the outside edge, and because of it, evens our count up at 1 ball, 1 strike. So, of course, we know that Ottawa got that win against Quebec. They are just about to conclude there at Windy City. Schaumburg's holding on to a 3-0 lead as they head into the 7th. They're playing 2 7-inning doubleheaders there in Windy City today. Sussex County has seen New Jersey come from behind. The Jackals now lead 6-5. They're in the bottom of the 7th right now. 1-1 pitch coming home to Fullerton. Stays too far inside. 4 ball 2. They're just about to get started between Empire State at Tri-City. And then, well, probably an hour or so after we get finished up, Florence will take on Lake Erie. They're at Lake Erie, and then Washington and Gateway conclude their 3-game set there in Sauget. 2-1 to Fullerton is sent into shallow right, and dropping back to make the catch is Andy Armstrong for out number 1. Sounded like it might have broke the bat too. If so, go grab your new lumber at Niehaus Lumber. So back to the top of the order we go, and Tyler DePretta Johnson making the walk towards home plate. So far on his day, he's 0 for 4, grounded into a double play, has a couple of foul outs, or a foul out, a fly out, and a pop out. Just about has one of each. Polancic's going to go check on the man at first, but steering is back in time. There's one out, runner on first. And we're waiting on the first pitch to DePretta Johnson. Polancic slings it home, and showing bunt for a second was DePretta Johnson before pulling away, but it was ball one anyway. One ball, no strikes to the shortstop, DePretta Johnson. There's one man on and one man out in the inning. A called strike on the inside edge, right on the edge. We'll even our count at one ball, one strike. A 1-1 to DePretta Johnson. Swinging strike two. He was way out in front of that pitch, and Polancic zoomed it home at 92. That takes the count to 1-2. We're here in the bottom half of the seventh inning. Otters trail by 2. A pitch sent right back up the middle, through for a base hit. There'll be men on first and second, and it's the first time in a long time Jake Polancic has given up a hit. So it's now Briley Ware, who the Otters have just not been able to get out at all in this series. In fact, they've only recorded one true out against him. The other one was a sac fly that gave him a RBI as well. He's got runners on first and second and one out. Evansville surely hoping for a double play that could just end things here. First pitch home to Polancic. Called strike, nearly right down the middle. Otters look like they're going to start to get Augie Gallardo throwing in the bullpen in left. So after the called strike one, Briley Ware is going to step out and reset. The last time Jake Polancic gave up a hit, you have to go all the way back to July 29th against Tri-City when he really got hit hard. But since that day, he's given up no runs and no hits. Just 5 walks, but on the other side of things, he's put up 17 strikeouts. So he has been very sharp ever since that Tri-City appearance. No balls, 2 strikes to Briley Ware. And Polancic kicks and delivers. Called strike 3. And that is a absolutely huge out to get for Jake Polancic. One of the best RBI men in the entire league. And you get him to look at strike 3. It's the second German American Bank strikeout of the game for Polancic. And most importantly, it's the second out here in this bottom of the 7th. 2 outs, men on first and second, and the DH Matt Birch walking to the plate. Birch is 1 for 3, a third inning single. This is 1 hit on the day. First pitch to him here is on the outside. Bit too far out there for ball 1. Good leads at both first and second for Steering and DePretta Johnson. As the 1-0 makes its way home. Well outside for ball 2. It is Augie Gallardo throwing in the Evansville bullpen. Nobody warming for Joliet right now. The The 2-0. Swinging strike one. Lancic just zoomed that one by Birch. He was a bit behind the 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Two 1 the count to Matt Birch. And that's good for a called strike two. And with it, the deuces are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 men on. Evansville hoping Jake Plancic can deliver them a third strike, get them out of the inning, and one step closer to trying to come back in this game. They trail 6-4. A 2-2 to Matt Birch. Swinging strike three. And it's a third German American Bank strikeout for Jake Plancic. We head to the 8th inning. Evansville trails by 2. Well, we're into the last 2 innings of this one, and Evansville is still trailing by 2. Their runs have come in doubles so far today, as each one was on a 2-run single, one of them by Andy Armstrong, the other by Elijah McNamee. And it is Big Hit Mac who will kick us off in the 8th inning. McNamee, Bierman, and Davis are the 3 scheduled to hit here in the 8th. McNamee's single was his only hit of the day. His other 2 were hits that should have been. Back in the 2nd, he had one robbed by Ware at 3rd, and in the 5th, just about had a home run to dead center, but the wind kept it into this place. Takes a called strike one to kick things off in the half inning. Tanner Keast is the one that remains on the mound for Joliet. So the 0-1 pitch to McNamee, and it's foul tipped into the glove of Fullerton for strike 2. Augie Gallardo continues to warm up for Evansville in the left field bullpen. Looks like the mound might be his in the 8th. An 0-2 pitch home. High and inside, make it ball 1 for Elijah McNamee. And that being said, there's now a man warming up for Joliet in the right field pit. A 1-2 pitch to McNamee. It's pushed foul to the right side. Will end up bouncing off of the top part of this stadium back into the seating area where a dad makes a nice grab there. Immediately turns and hands it down to his son, who has a big old smile on his face. 1-2 is the count to Elijah McNamee. Here to lead off this eighth. Pushes one foul again to the right side. That one's going to be well out of this ballpark. That one went out of here on a hurry. Looks like the man warming up for Joliet, I believe, is Cole Cook, the lefty, but it is hard to tell exactly because these pitchers are pitching towards us out in the bullpen, so we can't really see their numbers. A 1-2 is sent foul to the right side. Very sharply into the mesh right there in front of the Joliet dugout. And the counts remains at 1-2. McNamee doing a good job to at least keep himself alive in the counts. A 1-2 pitch home to Elijah McNamee. Stays outside, ball 2. And, you know, it was close. It certainly wasn't a strike, but I don't think that Fullerton kind of moving the pitch a little bit closer in, trying to frame it, helped any. Had he not framed it, it's possible he could have got a called strike. Instead, we have a 2-2 that's sent out towards center field, down for a base hit for McNamee. It kind of hooks towards the left side, but a good run from Feinstein will make sure that McNamee does not get past first. Looked like for a second he might get a double. But McNamee's going to kick things off here in the eighth with a leadoff single and set up Zach Bierman, the first baseman. Bierman's 0 for 2 on the day, a fielder's choice and a flyout. He did reach on the fielder's choice. He also reached on a walk in the 5th inning, but was part of a fielder's choice himself. First pitch to Bierman, hit weakly to the left side of the infield. Ware goes to second for 1, and they will not be able to get a second out as McNamee kind of slid in the direction of Mcgarry. They meet and fist bump afterwards, so all is good. It looked like incidental contact instead. So another fielder's choice for Zach Bierman. This one 5-4. Allows him to reach, but has McNamee down on his way to second. And it'll bring up J.R. Davis with 1 out and a man on first. Wind continues to blow straight in from center field with a lot of gust to it. It has been very consistent wind all day. First pitch to Davis, almost right down the middle for a called strike 1. George Khalil stands on deck. He'd be the next hope for Evansville, depending on what happens with J.R. Davis's at-bat. An 0-1 home, and it stays low. With it, the count evens up at a ball and a strike for J.R. Davis. Davis kind of squats down a little bit extra in the box, making that strike zone just that little bit smaller. A 1-1 home is put out towards right, but it hooks well foul. It's going to get well out of play as well. Looked good off the bat, but immediately took a hard right hook and it was gone. So the count goes to 1-2 for J.R. Davis with a man on first and 1 out. Otters need to get the line moving a little bit. Try to bring themselves a little bit closer in this one. They trail by 2. The 1-2 pitch to Davis. Hit sharply past the first baseman steering. Down into the right field corner. Bierman's going all the way to third. Davis is going towards second. They're waving Bierman home. It'll be a sliding triple for Davis, and he brings in a run. Evansville trails by just 1 now. A huge RBI hit for J.R. Davis. And this is a brand new opportunity for Evansville. Bierman really plugged it around the bases. Davis got himself the RBI triple, and it brings up George Khalil with 1 out and a game-tying run just 90 feet away. The entire infield's going to play in for Joliet as George Khalil steps in. Huge at bat for the Australian here. First pitch home. A half swing that was high and inside. Khalil did end up going around on it, and it's a swinging strike one to kick things off. An 0-1, and again a swinging strike for Khalil. He drops back in the count 0-2. Otters need Khalil to get a little bit defensive here in the zone. All he has to do is barely lift something over the infield. 0-2 pitch home. Outside, ball one. Radar gun said 97 from Tanner Keast. My goodness. One ball, two strikes to George Khalil with one out and a runner at third. Swinging strike three. And Khalil will sit down with his second strikeout of the day. So that will bring up the catcher, Brody Tanksley. 1 for 3 on the day and a chance to get a game-tying RBI hit. The defense will all move back to the back of the infield, trying to get the sure thing out. The first pitch to Brody Tanksley on the way now, and it's a swinging strike one. 96 there from Tanner Keast. Oh, 1 the count as the pitch comes home to Tanksley. Looked like it stayed low, but it was called strike two. So quickly an 0-2 count for Tanksley, who's trying to avoid his second strikeout of the day. 0-2 coming home. Swinging strike three. Evansville brings themselves to within one on the RBI triple from Davis. We head to the bottom half of the eighth. Evansville trails 6-5. We head to the bottom half of the 8th inning, and Augie Gallardo will enter the game to pitch for Evansville. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Gallardo on the mound, Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Gallardo on the mound for Evansville now. Means that the day ends for Polancic. He went 1 1/3, giving up no runs on 1 hit, struck out 3. Bowles went 1 full inning, gave up no runs on 1 hit. Brett Adcock went 4 2/3, striking out allowing 6 runs on 8 hits. He walked 6, struck out 3. First pitch is to the outside edge, a called strike for Matt Feinstein. And another called strike. This one on the inside edge takes it immediately to an 0-2 count from Augie Gallardo. And Gallardo's going to step off before the 0-2, resetting things. An 0-2 pitch, hit softly towards the left side of the infield. Khalil will charge in. The throw to first is in time for out 1. Just standard Khalil things, making that one look really easy.
Second baseman, number 8, Matt Mcgarry.
First pitch to Matt Mcgarry now. On the way home. Beautiful pitch from Gallardo. Is good for a called strike 1. This one stays low, just under the knees for ball 1. And now time is called by the catcher, Tanksley. He's going to have to go grab a different catcher's mitt. Something must have broke there on the mitt. So Tanksley's ready to go now on the 1-1. With 1 out and the base is empty. Matt Mcgarry at the plate. The 1-1 pitch. Another great moving slider there from Gallardo to take a 1-2 lead in the count. Throws it again. It works really far out, but it's hit into center field and down for a base hit. It was a great pitch from Gallardo, and Mcgarry decided to take a little lean in and extend the hands and was able to will that one to center for a 1-out single. Carson Maxwell now making his way to the plate. Maxwell has reached twice today, both on the walk. First pitch to Carson Maxwell is on the way from Augie Gallardo. There goes the man towards second. The throw out looks good, but it's just a tiny bit late as Mcgarry is going to get himself a stolen base, take away that double play opportunity for Evansville. A Joliet run here is certainly some helpful insurance. The 1-0, pushed out towards right. Long run for McNamee. It'll drop down in front of him. The run's going towards home. The throw to the plate looks good, and it gets out of the glove of Tanksley. And because of it, Joliet's going to get themselves an extra run. An RBI single from Carson Maxwell has yet again extended the lead to 2. Maxwell will reach second on the throw, however. So that now brings up Lane Baremore, the left fielder. He has 2 hits, a walk, and a strikeout in the game. Ball hit softly to the right side, bounces foul, and will end up right in front of the Joliet dugout. 1 out, it's a man on second, and Lane Baremore at the plate. 0-1 count for him. 0-1 pitch. There goes the man towards third, and it works in and hits the hand of Baremore. He was starting his swing, and as he started the swing, the pitch got him in either the hand or looks like it actually ended up on the elbow as he was halfway through his swing when the pitch got him. So they are looking at his elbow right now as both his trainer and manager are out there making sure everything's all right. It looks like he's good to go, so he will take first for free. And there's now runners at first and second with just 1 out.
Now batting first baseman, number 5, Philip Steering.
And Max Peterson's going to go out and have a chat with Augie Gallardo about things. Slammers scored a run here in the 8th already. That extended their lead back to 2 after Evansville got that very important insurance run. After Evansville got that 1 run that brought them a little closer. Now we see a Slammers insurance run. So a long talk up there on the bump between Andy McCauley and his staff. Max Peterson and his infield staff. He walks away, and J.R. Davis says a few extra words to his infield. Gives thumbs up around, and Otters are going to try to keep this game where it's at, a 2-run advantage for Joliet. There's 1 out and runners at first and second, with the first baseman Philip Steering making his way to the plate. So Philip Steering steps in. He's 1 for 3 on the day, a single in that big 5th inning for Joliet. Came around to score it on Fullerton's double. First pitch home to him here in the 8th. Across for a called strike 1 on the inside edge. Runners at first and second as the 0-1 pitch comes home for Philip Steering with 1 out. Again inside. This one a little too far, and it evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, the Otters continue their season on Tuesday night at home, where they will welcome the Windy City Thunderbolts to town. Last meeting between those 2 teams this year. First pitch is 6:35. 1-1 falls just a bit inside for ball 2. And Gallardo will step off the mound and take a couple seconds to reset. Back up on the bump. 2-1 count to Steering. 2 men on, 1 out. A 2-1 comes home. Hit sharply to the left side past Davis. They're going to wave the man towards home. Baez picks it up. The throw towards the plate is just a tiny bit late. It is an RBI single for Philip Steering, and the lead hits 3. Some valuable insurance runs here for the Slammers, as it's now an 8-5 lead for Joliet.
Number 14, J.P. Fullerton.
Tanksley steps out and gives a sign around to his defense prior to J.P. Fullerton's at-bat. 1 out, runners at first and second. Slammers have scored 2 insurance runs here in the 8th to take an 8-5 lead. Pitch comes home, and it stays outside for ball 1. This game had a combined 0 runs on 2 hits through 4 innings. And since that point now, we have a game that has kind of exploded into a 13-run, 23-hit affair. The 1-0 comes home, outside for ball 2. So it's a 2-0 pitch to J.P. Fullerton now. And it's fouled right back into the netting. Fullerton looking at a 2-1. It looks like he's asking for a new bat, or actually he's asking for the pine tar stick to apply a little bit extra down. Fullerton bats with no batting gloves, so that's why he's asking for extra pine tar down there where his hands are. A 2-1 pitch coming home to the catcher, J.P. Fullerton, with 2 men on and 1 out. Taken for a called strike 2 that evens our count up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Long wait on the bump from Augie Gallardo. Nods in towards his catcher. And here comes the 2-2. Pitch stays well high and outside. And the count's full now. Another arm starting to warm up for Evansville. Looks like Kevin Davis down there in the left field pin. A 3-2 payoff pitch. Stays low, ball 4. Was a close one, but it loads the bases with 1 out.
Shortstop, number 4, Tyler DePretta Johnson.
So the leadoff man, Tyler DePretta Johnson, steps in now for his 6th at-bat in the game. He's 1 for 5. Bases are loaded with 1 out. First pitch comes home. It's sent right back up the middle. Khalil dives, and it gets past him. 1 run's going to score. 2 runs will score, and everyone else will stay put. It is a 2-run single for Tyler DePretta Johnson, and the lead grows again. Fullerton will stay at second, but both Barrymore and Steering score on the play. And Max Peterson's back out there. Looks like we'll see another pitching change. The day for Augie Gallardo comes to an end. Kevin Davis will be the man to come in just a second. We'll let you know more about Kevin Davis right after this. Otters have fallen back to a 5-run deficit now after a tough 8th inning for Gallardo. Kevin Davis will get the nod from Max Peterson. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It is Kevin Davis on the mound and Ray Tanksley behind the plate, that pitcher catcher battery. Sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Kevin Davis's last appearance was at Windy City. He had a lot of family in attendance as well. He went 2 full innings, giving up 2 hits, no runs, and striking out 5, including striking out the side in one of those opportunities. Excited to see what he can do now, as right now his only job is to grab these 2 outs. There's runners at first and second with just 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. The 4 runs here so far for Joliet might be enough to hold them over. Evansville came into this bottom of the 8th down by just 1, but now they see themselves down by 5, at least right now, going into the 9th inning if it were to stay this way. First pitch to Briley Ware is fouled off to the right side. Will end up bouncing back into the seating area. And taking our count to 0-1. 1 out, runners at first and second. Briley Ware looking at an 0-1 pitch. Davis takes an extra half second before he throws home. It works high and inside and evens the count up at 1 ball, 1 strike. Evansville right back at it Tuesday night at home against Windy City. First pitch is scheduled for 6:35. If you can't join us in person, join us here on the Otters Digital Network or Flow Sports. Bill McEwen will be next to me. 1-1 home to Ware. Hit hard to the right side. Foul once again. Sharply out of the stadium. I say that, and then it comes rolling off the roof 5 seconds later. And another fan has his day made. One ball, 2 strikes for Briley Ware, with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Stays low, and it's a called strike 3 at the knees. Was a close pitch, and Kevin Davis gets it called for his first German American Bank strikeout of the day. And that one will bring up the DH Matt Birch, who is the 9th different slammer to make his way to the plate in this half inning. 2nd time in the game that Joliet's batted around. Davis ready on the first pitch to Birch with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Pitch comes home. High and outside, 4 ball 1. Couple seconds taken here before the 1-0 pitch home. Davis will kick and deliver after the glance out to second. And it's sent foul right back into the netting. And with it, our count evens up at 1 ball and a strike. One ball, 1 strike for Matt Birch. There's runners at first and second and 2 outs here. Pitch comes home. Called strike on that outside edge. That'll take the count to 1-2. Judging by some of the cheers I hear down here underneath me, I'm guessing that Kevin Davis's family joined us here in Joliet as well. He's from Orland Park, which is not far from here. The 1-2 to Matt Birch. Called or swinging strike 3 Back-to-back German-American Bank strikeouts for Davis have taken us to the ninth inning, but not before the Slammers score 4 runs of insurance. They lead 10-5 as we head to the ninth. Evansville's got to get it done right now. Top of the ninth inning here, and Evansville has a lot of work cut out for them after 4 runs of insurance grabbed by the Slammers in the 8th. It's making this task a lot more difficult for the Otters. They'll start off with Andy Armstrong, Miles Gordon, and Jeffrey Baez will finish off the 3 scheduled batters. First pitch home to Andy Armstrong, low and inside for ball 1. There was a pitching change as well, as Tyler J enters the game. The hard-throwing lefty looks to close this one out. As the ball is sent foul back into the netting, this call to the bullpen, presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Jay on the mound, Fullerton behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Armstrong puts a ball foul to the right side. It's going to end up bouncing out of the stadium, off of the concourse layer. And the count falls to 1-2 for Armstrong. The wind, like it's done all day, continues to blow in from straight center field. And Armstrong caught swinging at the pitch low and away for a strikeout. The first one for Tyler J. An impressive day from Joliet's pitchers. They've combined for 9 strikeouts, and they've been really good ones too. And they've also combined for just 1 walk. That's been the big difference maker in this one. Evansville has a combined 10 walks given up. And that was, in my eyes, the deciding factor in this ballgame. Swinging strike 1 for Gordon on the outside edge. Has him quickly back 0-1 in the count. The 0-1 works towards the outside edge again. It's left alone for ball one out there. The 1-1 coming home, and Gordon skies it towards shallow center. Dropping back is DePrita Johnson. He'll be the one to bring it in for out number 2, and the Otters are down to their last out. So Jeffrey Baez will be the last hope for the Otters. 2 outs, nobody on here in the top of the 9th. Evansville needs to find 5 runs somehow. A foul tip, swinging strike starts off this count. A swinging strike, too, as Baez back 0-2 in the count now. Oh, 2 count for Jeffrey Baez. 2 outs, nobody on. As Tyler J kicks and delivers. Low and inside. Almost at the feet of Baez, and his count goes to 1-2. So we take a second to reset. Prior to the 1-2 pitch to Jeffrey Baez. A 1-2 hits sharply towards Ware at third. He'll play it on one hop, and the throw to first bounces on its way, and because of it, Baez is going to reach here with 2 outs. It'll be a error on the third baseman Ware that allows it. So that'll bring up Steven Sinsley. Sinsley had a home run in yesterday's 9th inning. And just like last night, if he found a 2-run home run here, it wouldn't do too much, as it would just bring the Otters to within 3. First pitch home is fouled off towards the left side, well out of play. Baez stands on first. They're not holding him close. With 2 outs, the runner at first, and an 0-1 count to Steven Sinsley. Pitch comes home. There goes Baez to second, and it's foul tipped back into the netting. So Baez will have to turn back to first. So we reset prior to the 0-2 pitch for Steven Sinsley. There's 2 outs and a runner on first. Oh, 2 pitch to Sinsley is just barely fouled away towards the Otters dugout. So the count remains at 0-2. The 0-2 makes its way home, and it's sent right back up the middle. DePrita Johnson will play it over to first for the final out of this one. And Joliet's going to get a 10-5 win to complete the 3-game sweep of the Otters. It's not enough to bring Joliet into the 3rd spot in the standings, but it is enough to bring them to within 2 games, and things are going to get very interesting now in this West Division. Not only do the Otters fall out of the 2nd place spot this weekend, they've also fallen to a place where they have a lot of work to do in these last 3 weeks of the season to keep themselves in playoff contention. There's exactly 18 games left. 9 are going to be at home. 9 are going to be on the road for Evansville. 6 of those 9 on the road are at Washington. 6 huge games for Evansville. But the first 3 that are at home are against Windy City, and they'll be this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday there at Bosse Field. We sure hope that you come and join us at Bosse Field. 6:35 first pitch all 3 nights as Evansville looks to right the ship and get back on the winning side of things. They are certainly not out of anything yet. They're still in a perfect place that they can make a run towards this playoffs, get themselves in a playoff spot, and more importantly, keep themselves potentially in a playoff spot. They're in the 3rd spot now, which means they would be the road team in the 1-game playoff at Schaumburg if the playoff started today. But, of course, there is still plenty of time for things to get interesting between now and then. Schaumburg did get a 3-0 win in Game 1 of their doubleheader. They're about to start Game 2 now. The other one that Otters fans might be keeping an eye on is that Washington Gateway game, as, of course, at this point, the Otters might be hoping for a Washington win because it keeps Gateway from sneaking up towards Evansville. Otters struggle on this road trip after a huge Game 1. They won 7-1, had runs almost every single inning. It was a great performance there at Windy City, but since then it has been a struggle for Evansville to find consistency both at the plate and on the mound. This one hurts a little bit more than the rest because the Otters were firmly in a chance to win this ball game but could not finish it out. I want to say thank you for spending any amounts of your week with us. We're glad that you've decided to spend time with the Evansville Otters, and we hope that you come join us on Tuesday night at historic Bosse Field as the Otters return home for a 3-game set with Windy City. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, I'm Matthew Wills saying so long from Dooley Health and Care Field. I'll talk to you Tuesday night with Bill McEwen by my side.